And then for the Indiana Hoosiers, Robert Finney, the freshman point guard, along with the freshman Romeo Langford. Big change in Indiana's lineup with Al Durham in the starting lineup. And Jawan Morgan, of course, one of the headliners here for the Hoosiers. Brian Anderson with Jim Jackson, everybody's All-American.
Who said that?
One of the most iconic venues in college basketball. We're ready to do it here tonight.
Ready to do it. A lot of excitement. Two teams out to prove that they belong among the talk of national contenders.
Great early season matchup here as it shapes up. Marquette entering into the top 25 this week. Ranked currently number 24. First time they've been ranked in 5 years. And an early turnover. Romeo Langford on the attack, gives it up. And now Indiana will get into their sets. And Langford gets the first shot off and misses the three.
And one thing we see early, Indiana, their defense can create offense so they can use those long athletic bodies to get out and run.
One of the great scorers in the game, Marcus Howard. And he gets us started with the scoring tonight. As Marcus Howard, the junior out of Chandler, Arizona. His father, Chuck, played football here at Indiana. There's more to that story. Al Durham on the take, and he is fouled. Free throws coming for the man into the starting lineup for the first time. Back to Howard.
One thing you see with Marcus Howard, not afraid to put his head down and attack the rim, turn the ball over in the first possession. One thing as a point guard you must have is a short memory. That time, Marcus Howard, again, attacking off the dribble. That's one thing. Another thing that this Indiana team wants to take away from Marquette, dribble drive penetration.
Al Durham in there for Zach McRoberts. Hits the first free throw. So Indiana has some injured players. Archie Miller knows this is going to be one of those get-through games. No Zach McRoberts. He has back spasms, a low back strain. And no Devontae Green as well. He's dealing with a thigh contusion. And Race Thompson is out with a concussion. So the Hoosiers are shorthanded against a very deep, very talented Marquette team.
In particular, this Marquette team that loves to use the three-point line. You see another turnover right here by Marquette.
Justin Smith on the take, and he is fouled. So defensively, Indiana coming up with a couple of turnovers.
Well, it's all about being aggressive. That's a great show that time by Morgan off the pick. That time couldn't split the pick and roll. Again, out in transition. This is something, talking to Bruiser Flint earlier, that Indiana wanted to be able to do, is get out and run and attack this Marquette team in transition.
Steve Wojciechowski, now in year number 5 at Marquette. Had some great years, of course, as a player with the Duke Blue Devils, national championship there. Was a long-time assistant under Coach K. First time he's been back here since he was an assistant coach with Duke. Josh McRoberts was a Dookie back then. And he has prepped his team on the environment they will run into tonight. It is a packed house, 17,000 strong at Assembly Hall. Brendan Bailey kicks it to Sam Hauser for 3. Nope. And the rebound pulled down by Smith. These are two coaches that have stressed defensive play to start the year. They've got plenty of firepower to score, plenty of weapons, but both coaches want to see much improvement on the defensive end. Here's Langford, pretty off the window.
Well, I tell you what, defense may be the key, but having a score, athletic player like Langford sure can help out a lot when you want to win some basketball games.
2 blowout wins for these two teams to start the season. Marquette winning over UMBC and then Bethune-Cookman. Here's Sakar Annam. And it's Morgan with a one-handed rebound. In transition come the Hoosiers. Durham will pull it. Comes up short. Right there is Langford. He'll step back. He'll fire a 3. And Theo John wrestles the rebound down. A couple of good looks for Indiana.
And that's a shot that as Langford gets more comfortable with his shooting stroke and confident, he'll make.
Another turnover. Up ahead, Finney finishes with the left hand. And Steve Wojciechowski walks the timeout. Defense to offense, and the Hoosiers rolling early.
Defense is the key with this Indiana team, and it's all about hustle. Get out in transition, make your opponent pay for you. And Finney right here using his body to fend off Hauser. Great move.
Early, a quick 8-0 spurt by the Hoosiers. Brian Anderson, Jim Jackson. This is one of those find-out games, right? Early November matchup for these two.
You find out what you're made of from Marquette coming into a hostile environment. You may have a little bit more experience, but you haven't played here in Indiana. Against a top 25 team that loves to score the basketball. How does your defense hold up? We'll find out.
Early timeout for Marquette. And now Hauser in trouble, makes a difficult shot. It is the Hauser brothers that are on display at Marquette this year. Sam is a junior, just made that basket. His younger brother, Joey, is usually the first off the bench and currently the sixth man, and he is a great talent as well. Morgan pulls a three. Nope. And Jamal Cain, his first minutes on the floor, pulls down the board.
And Brian, on that last play by Hauser, you'd love to see him be able to get to the basket instead of just settling for three-point shots.
Nice save on the baseline. Al Durham, Tennessee, the freshman point guard. I know you and many others have their eyes on the two freshmen in Tennessee and Langford as he finishes strong. What a silky smooth game he has.
At first in Tennessee, because he plays beyond his years, only 3 turnovers in his first few games, controlling the tempo. And then when you're a scorer like Langford, sometimes it looks unconventional, but he knows and understands how to best put the ball in the basket.
Great start for Indiana. Foul by Justin Smith as he whacks Sam Hauser.
Well, Brian, coaches always talk about completing your defensive play right here. Great hustle on the floor, and then that allows Romeo Langford to do what he does best, which is score the basketball and use that body and athleticism inside.
4-3, Hauser comes up short. You'll notice Marquette takes a lot of threes. Up ahead, Langford, and is fouled on the breakaway. Jamal Cain called for the foul. Boy, Indiana has come out with hair on fire. They have been very aggressive here to start this game.
Well, Romeo Langford right here kind of waltzed his way to the basket right there and allowed Cain to catch up. That's something that you can't do at this level. Guys are faster, athletic, finish the play, but he was able to get to the free throw line. But on your point about the defense, pride, knowing exactly where you're at, and communication are the keys to being a great defensive team. And Indiana's inching their way towards that.
Saw some of the superlatives on Romeo Langford, and he's not a guy that's slipping under the radar, let's put it that way. Indiana, Mr. Basketball. Evan Fitzner checks in here. But Langford, with that 6'11 wingspan, he stands at 6'6", a 3,000-point scorer at high school in New Albany, which is down near Louisville. It's about 100 miles from here. And a great get for Archie Miller. No telling how long he'll be here. It could be one and done, most likely will be for Romeo Langford. Here's Annam on the take. Sakar Annam can't finish. And it's Fitzner, the grad transfer from St. Mary's with the rebound. Durham will fire a three. Yes! So Al Durham has already made an impact on the hustle plays and now from behind the arc.
Well, it may not seem a lot, but Robert Finney that time by advancing the ball up before the defense could get set, that allowed Durham to just easily have that three-point shot.
Joey Hauser turns it over. Finney away from the pack. Here's Durham with the layup. Chartouni runs the point for Marquette. Not protecting the ball at all. On the take is Annam, and denied by Morgan. Durham comes away with it on the push. Got Langford on the wing. Finney finds Fitzner for three. Yes! What a start for the Hoosiers. The Indiana Hoosiers beating Marquette at their own game from behind the arc. Durham hits one, Fitzner hits one, and it's 19-4 Indiana. Hoosiers on their home floor, off to a quick start here against Marquette. Romeo Langford, as we get into the headliners, he is the one headliner in the Big Ten Conference. All eyes are on.
Well, the metrics all add up for him. He's long, he's rangy, he's athletic. He can get to the basket and finish above the rim. His shooting will come along as he gets more comfortable. The form is there. He just has to be more confident. But right now, he has a total package.
5 points. He's made a couple of baskets. He also has 2 steals. Marquette's been turning it over early often. And Romeo Langford, a little bit of a shot. That's a work in progress, as you mentioned, but he can really get to the basket.
Well, scorers know how to score. In that time, Marcus Howard didn't commit to the defensive end to stop the drive, and even off balance, he shows you the soft touch to be able to kiss it off the glass.
Marcus Howard back on the floor. 3 early turnovers for Howard, Marquette's top scorer, and he settles things down a bit for the Golden Eagles. If Marquette is going to have any success at all, they need a big game from Howard. They need a lot of three-point shooting. That's what they do. Inside, Fitzner got in a cross match with Howard, and that's a no-brainer for Indiana.
But again, it's the pass up top from Finney to allow now the player to be able to catch the basketball. Fitzner able to catch it and finish at the rim. Again, a lot of point guards, freshmen, sometimes may overthrow it or underthrow it. Perfect pass on time, on target.
Joey Hauser finds his brother Sam, kicks it back to Joey. Excellent off the bounce and deals with a contact. No shot. And Hauser is fouled.
You know, Brian, part of being in a position is sealing inside and getting yourself available to catch the ball and then score. And that time, Fitzner did an excellent job of, one, positioning, but second, not bringing the ball down, allowing Marcus Howard to slap it away. He was able to score easily inside.
Could have used some help from Ed Morrow, who's on the floor now, a transfer out of Nebraska. He knows this venue well. Sam Hauser to Joey, looking inside. Here's Morrow, backing his way in. He's a strong post player, and he finds Sam Hauser. This one up for three, and good. Marquette can shoot their way back in quickly. They have an explosive offense. Fitzner, long-range three from the top. Nothing but the bottom.
Wasn't Marquette supposed to be the three-point shooting team? Let me talk about that a little bit early on, and it's been Indiana confidently. But when you have confidence and you can score the ball, now the rim looks huge, and you're just knocking in shots from everywhere on the court.
Sam Hauser on the other end with a 2. 3 threes for the Hoosiers. Fitzner's hit a couple of those. 3 for 7 to start for Indiana from behind the arc. Second of our doubleheader tonight, the Gavitt tip-off games, presenting some fantastic early season matchups. Now Morgan will fire, and with a rebound, one and done for the Hoosiers. Howard, lightning quick. And it's poked away, back into the hands of Morrow. Now Hauser, Joey to Sam. That's the matchup Marquette's want with Durham on Joey Hauser. He settled for the jump shot. Tennessee with his head up, looking up top. Morgan the catch, and lost it out of bounds. Right idea, maybe a little late with the pass.
Yeah, and that time I think Morgan was looking maybe to pass, and at the last second took his eye off of it and lost it out of bounds. But one of the few errors we've seen when Indiana has been in transition, been very efficient in that area early on in this game.
Now the Hoosiers with their first turnover. Deron Davis on the floor for Indiana. Langford set to check back in here shortly. And you've got Demizi Anderson getting his first minutes as well. Foul on the Hoosiers. And Anderson, just into the game, picks up his first foul. Also a freshman. And Archie Miller has put together a great recruiting class, top 10 by any standards, as high as top 7. And an outstanding class of freshmen. That's a walk. Theo John, the sophomore, travels. And a turnover for Marquette, number 5.
Well, as you know, especially at a program like Indiana, you want things to turn around quickly, and it doesn't happen like that. But once Archie Miller is able to input his thinking, his mantra, the way he wants his team to play, now he can go get the top recruits that he has, and as a result, you become more competitive instantly.
Got the 3 freshmen on the floor right now. Anderson, he has a quick shot. He'll pull it from just inside the arc. And it's John who comes away with a rebound. Be interesting to watch the minutes here tonight of Deron Davis as well. Nice pass inside. John scores and is fouled. Theo John, strong move to the basket. And a chance at a 3-point play for Marquette. Timeout on the floor.
And Marcus Howard able to run the pick and roll. John Steele inside, absorbing the contact. Big fella may be strong, but it's a soft touch.
Back in Bloomington between timeouts there. Let's take you inside the huddle with second-year coach Archie Miller.
On that ball screen, you got to impact the pass. Demezi, the guy sets a slot ball screen right here. You put no tag, you're not in. Guy cuts from the corner on the post. You got to fight the post in front. Come on, man. Can't let him go at you. All right, what's the wars? 2-1-1? 1-1. Okay, we got to get back in the groove right now.
Archie Miller talking about the wars, those segments between the timeouts. Indiana impressive in the first one. Marquette 9-5 in the second segment of this game.
Well, the thing about a great defensive team is the ability to get consecutive stops, and that's what Archie Miller is talking about, impacting the game, not allowing easy passes or post-ups inside. That's something that this Indiana team will continue to work at.
Justin Smith back on the floor for the Hoosiers. Still have the three freshmen on the floor, and that is a tip by Davis, and it'll be a turnover. Ron Davis touched it last. Marquette ball. Marcus Howard made the first bucket of the game for the Golden Eagles. IU then went on an 8-0 run and then 11-0 to build a 15-point lead. Marquette started out 2 for 8. Made 4 of the last 5, however, to get within 11.
And yet still Marquette is within 11 points. If they score here, can get it under double digits after a tough start. And that's what you have to do when you're the road team, is weather the storm and figure out how ways on the defensive end to get yourself back into some sort of offensive rhythm. You see that right now with Marquette.
Sam Hauser has quieted him down here for the time being. The junior out of Stevens Point High School, and another turnover for the Hoosiers. So Sam Hauser has been able to put the lid back on the jar a little bit here.
But also doing it from a position inside the three-point arc. Surveying the court, understanding that the baseline is open. And this time, again, able to softly shoot that jump shot even with the contact.
And Marquette, you know the Splash Brothers with the Golden State Warriors. They call these two the Spash Brothers from Stevens Point area senior high in Wisconsin. And here is Joey Hauser, missed badly, the freshman. Durham with his head up. He's got Howard on him. Morgan to the cutter. Langford, nice.
And that's one part of Morgan's game as well that he's improved on, especially last year, is accepting the double team, but also being able to pass out of it.
Howard gets the ball by, but Durham recovers quickly for the block.
You know, patience inside is a key for a post player when you're facing a double team. Quick help, but then able to spot a cutting Romeo Langford inside. Then on the opposite end, Durham not giving up on the play, denying Marcus Howard what could have been an easy two.
A great recovery by Al Durham. Gets his first start here tonight. No Zach McRoberts in the starting lineup tonight as Hauser scores and is fouled. And Sam Hauser has now scored 9 of the last 11 points for Marquette.
And I'll say this. It was poor communication on the back screen to get Hauser open. But right there when Morgan jumped to the outside to defend the pass, he gave up the passing angle inside. And you always want to take away the inside pass, especially when you know that play is coming. So it was multiple errors defensively that time by the Hoosiers.
Saw Justin Smith take a seat there. His second foul, Jimmy, as Sam Hauser at the line to try to cap off a three-point possession for Marquette. Cannot. Theo John taps it right to Morgan. Here come the Hoosiers now. Tennessee, the point guard, checked by Hauser. Now it's Langford. Ball's moving well for the Hoosiers. Popping, and Morgan hits a three. Dewan Morgan had just one made three-pointer in the first 2 games. Coming off a 14-point, 11-rebound performance against Montana State. It was a 45-point win for the Hoosiers. Sam Hauser will pull another one. He's buried another one.
What a beautiful play. That time, Marcus Howard was able to bring and drag the defense along with him. And Hauser, being patient enough to wait for the play to open up, was able to catch square and knock down that three.
Single-handedly keeping Marquette in the game. Now a turnover.
Well, at that time, Archie Miller is telling Tennessee to pass it to the wing to Langford. Langford had the pass inside to Morgan. A better angle. Again, you're going to see some of these mental errors from the young backcourt. So they're just trying to figure out how to play in this type of environment against this type of high-caliber team.
3 guards on the floor, but with some size with Morgan and Davis for Indiana. Howard Looking for Hauser. Inside to John. Seals him off, and John scores. Boy, he's been nice around the basket here tonight.
Johns was able to set the pick, get Hauser open, and then seal right in the middle of the lane.
Chartouni working with Durham here. Now Morgan. Morgan trying to get by Hauser. Finney for three. Nope, missed badly. Hauser with a rebound. Joseph Chartouni. And he kicks it over to Hauser. Comes up short. That's Kane with the rebound, and he is fouled. And Jamal Kane will head to the line, and Marquette starting to fight their way back. Down 7, a chance to get it to 5. This trip down the floor.
Well, when you're able to push it up quickly, get in a position to get a good shot. Inside now, your post players have a better advantage of rebounding the ball, especially when the communication on the backside for Indiana is not there. Kane able to sneak right in on the baseline and pick up that foul.
Now Marquette last year, as Kane comes up empty, they were one of 5 teams to shoot over 40% from three-point range, 75% from the free throw range. So you know they're a scoring team, but what you notice about them right away is their length this year. They have depth, and they have length, and they have an opportunity to be a decent defensive team with all that scoring.
Well, they bought into the philosophy, if we get stops, we can get out and run. Now, the interesting part is, can they continue at this clip in regards to shooting the basketball from the perimeter? That just opens up so many things for their offense.
Morgan with John on him. And a foul. Theo John called for the foul. He's a handful. Juwan Morgan, the senior, the leader. And John picks up his second foul. And Juwan Morgan, who tested the NBA waters last year, but decided to return to Indiana. He is enjoying all of this youth, enjoying being the professor of these Hoosiers. He's got a lot of weapons around him this year.
But I think he accepted the response that he got, the improvements that he needed to make to come back to be a better player.
What a strong finish that was by Juwan Morgan. Had a chance to pick up a foul as well. Scores the deuce. Indiana jumping out to a big lead. Marquette wrestled it back, and now Ed Morrow travels with it.
Well, that's great defense right there by Morgan.
First 12 minutes in the books. Intense. Indiana jumps out to a fast start. Marquette behind Sam Hauser works their way back. It's 31-22. The Gavin tip-off games from Bloomington, Indiana. The Marquette Golden Eagles out of the Big East. Moments ago, Steve Wojciechowski in the huddle.
So we need to play downhill. We need to play downhill. You guys understand that? The ball needs to be driven and the ball needs to be posted. When you post, you need to attack the paint with poise. And then guys need to fly at the offensive glass.
Brian, this is an 80% free throw shooting team in Marquette. Meaning get into the lane, get fouled, get scored, and get to the free throw line. But do it under control with some poise. We're going to post up inside and force Indiana to have to guard our size inside, and that's a smart way to look at getting back into a game when you're an excellent free throw shooting team.
Well, Marquette 2 for 7 from behind the arc, 0 for 4 from the free throw line. They call that the Assembly Hall effect to start this game. Indiana's been terrific defensively. We've kind of flipped the turnover story a little bit here. Marquette had 4 turnovers in the first 4.5 minutes. Only 2 since. Indiana had no turnovers in the first 7 minutes, but Archie Miller's team with 4 giveaways in the last 5 minutes. Fitzner back on the floor. And Fitzner with the left hand finishes at the rim. Inside game, outside game. What a find he has been for the Indiana Hoosiers. And at 6'10", gives him a lot of length as well as he matches up with Hauser. That's Finney on Howard. Howard picks his dribble up. Got the 2 guards on the floor right now at Howard and Chartouni. Chartouni runs the point. Shot clock down to 7. Howard trying to take Finney. Got help. Inside, Matt help. Shot clock ticks, in trouble. And he stepped on the baseline just before the shot clock expired. What a stand by the Hoosiers.
Well, this is an excellent play. The play before for Indiana out of bounds, as they were able to get Pfister right here at the free throw line. And again, long, athletic, lanky, can use one dribble, put his shoulder down, get past his defender, use that left hand to get right to the basket.
Evan Fitzner out of San Diego, California. And they were aggressive in their recruiting of the grad transfer from St. Mary's. And he felt like he needed a little bit of a change from the West Coast and wanted to dive into Big Ten country, and a perfect piece for the Hoosiers. And again, he finds Howard on him, which draws a double from Help. Shot clock down to 4. Here's the lefty Durham, air ball. And Howard blocks out the 6'10 Fitzner. He is a foot taller than Marcus Howard, but he gets the rebound.
Yeah, he was able to get up underneath him and take the size away. If you look at it, if guards are watching right now, you're undersized. This is how you box out a bigger play. You get underneath them and don't allow them to get up in the air. And Marcus Howard using some of that savviness we see to be able to garner that rebound.
And remember, you heard Wojo say, we're in the bonus. And that sends Howard to the line. By the way, second foul on Rob Fennessy, and Indiana already with injury troubles with Devontae Green, so they've got some trouble in the backcourt. Marquette has not made a free throw. 0 for 5. 11-point lead for the Hoosiers. Morgan backs down Help, draws the double team. And now Fitzner, ball fake, got it. Could not ask for a better start from Evan Fitzner here tonight. Sakar Annam. Check by Langford. Now Help in trouble. Chartouni gives it right back to Help. And that is a foul. It was blocked from behind by Morgan, but the foul on Langford will send Help to the free throw line.
And I know right here that Marquette, this is excellent play by Morgan out to Fisher, but that pass can't allow to be thrown cross court. Because once you do that coming out of a double team, there's no way you're going to be able to get back.
Fitzner has scored 13 of the last 20 points for Indiana. Yeah, a reminder, tomorrow night, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers take on Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. It's a big game in the NFC playoff race, and it all starts at 7:30 Eastern on Fox, NFL Network, and, of course, streaming live on Prime Video. There's all kind of cheese involved in that one. Russell Wilson, of course, finished his collegiate career for the Badgers. And Aaron Rodgers trying to get the Packers turned around as Morgan will sit. Both free throws good. Chartouni headed to the bench, which will put Howard back in the point guard position. Denise Anderson back on the floor. And so with Fennessy with 2 fouls on the bench, with Green injured with that thigh contusion, it is Durham who will run the point. Good find. Davis is fouled. Well, Deron Davis just carved out some territory inside the lane.
Well, he did, but Durham having the length and that quick first step, able to get by Howard, drew the defense, and then was able to find inside the ability for Deron Davis to carve out some space you talked about.
10 months removed from Achilles surgery, Deron Davis, still a work in progress as far as his body, his conditioning. But this is a guy that as the season goes, and they're limited minutes, no question at this point for Archie Miller, but he could be a real factor for him coming back. He gives him a lot of size inside.
Well, his ability to get back in shape will be there. But it's the mental part he has to get over, the trust that the injury is healed, that he can get back to doing the things that made him a viable force inside.
Marcus Howard trying to turn the corner, now rises up, and around and out it goes. Help keeps it alive. Howard gives it up. Ball's moving well. Here's Bailey. Rattles in and out. Brendan Bailey, the son of Thurl, still looking for his first long-range bucket of the game. Langford splits him, goes on Help, and scores on Matt Help. don't know how long he's going to be here in Bloomington, but he is going to be a thrill to watch this season. This matches the biggest lead of the game for the Hoosiers as Howard comes up short. Chance for Indiana to add to it. Two-man game, Fitzner and Langford. Langford again on the tape. Wow! Oh, what a finish by Langford, and he's fouled. And one for Romeo.
The patience and poise that Romeo Langford has shown here has just been tremendous. This time letting the defense kind of open up, taking advantage of splitting the defense and finishing it. Once again, sizing up his opponent, knowing he wants to get to that right hand, able again, as a young freshman, 6'6", 215 pounds, to absorb the contact and finish.
Taking on the 6'10" Matt Held and completes the three-point possession for the Indiana Hoosiers. Justin Smith back on the floor. He'll come on with 2 fouls. Deron Davis will exit.
This is a small lineup that Coach Wojciechowski talked about for his Golden Eagles right now.
Biggest lead of the game for the Hoosiers. This is a 13-2 run for Indiana. Marquette trying to slow it down. Bailey. Hauser to Hauser now. Shot clock down to 10. And it's all reset. Howard takes a peek at his coach. They come to their feet. Another defensive stand possibly. Howard, tough three over Durham. No. Langford on the move. Romeo taking on 2 Golden Eagles, and an offensive foul will send it the other way. Not a whole lot there for Romeo, but when you're scoring at will, you take that chance. I'm sure Archie Miller will have something to say about that. It'll be Marquette ball. When we continue from Bloomington, the Hoosiers, another big burst, and they're up 18 on Marquette in the first half. 17,000 plus here at Assembly Hall as we welcome you to Big East Basketball, sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Romeo Langford is having a great start to this one, Jimmy.
Well, he's not disappointing the crowd, the fans, the national audience. And again, he's doing it under control. He's getting to his spots where he needs to get to. But again, you see the athleticism, you see the poise and patience outside of the charge that he had. And you see why everyone's so excited that he's here and he's a Hoosier.
12 points on 5 of 7 shootings, hit a couple of free throws, has 2 steals as well. Marquette with the ball, Joey Hauser with his brother Sam on the floor, and the first basket of the game for Joey Hauser. Back to Langford, though, for a minute. There was a terrific article in The Athletic written by Brian Hamilton. It was a really interesting point, and you would know about as well as anybody, but a high school player with so much hype and so many expectations on him, he said, Romeo, that he feels more relaxed, more relief here at the collegiate level already 3 games into this. Why do you think that is?
Well, because at the high school level, they're not built internally to deal with everything that comes with a player of Romeo Langford's magnitude. Actually, they're soaking in, all of the excitement themselves. But when you're Indiana, you're 27, Mr. Basketball, 21, McDonald's All-American. You're accustomed to seeing that within this program.
And that is going to be a turnover with 2 on the shot clock. Empty possession here for Indiana. Well, Romeo Langford is the headliner among this group of freshmen. Jerome Hunter's still not playing yet. He's got a leg condition. He's out indefinitely. That's yet another piece to a fantastic freshman class for Archie Miller. Hauser goes strong as he's falling down. He scores and starting to get into the box score now with a couple of made baskets. One of those freshmen, Anderson, gives it up to Smith. That almost went in and ends up in the hands of Hauser. Joey with Fitzner on him. Big stretch here for Marquette, trying to fight their way back. Howard pulls a 3. He's got it. Smooth stroke of Marcus Howard. already over 1,000 points in just 2 years at Marquette. One of the deadliest three-point shooters in the game right now.
You know, but it's going to be a different challenge for Marcus Howard this year. Hopefully, Joseph Chartouni can kind of play the role from a distribution perspective that Andrew Rousey played last year. He set up so many opportunities for Marcus Howard to play on the wing and get open along with Sam Hauser and the other players at Marquette. But this year, a lot more onus is going to be on Marcus Howard to kind of do things himself. So not only he, but the team has to adjust to not having quite yet that second playmaker.
Nice little answer by Marquette. What have you seen so far? I've been impressed with Ethan Happ, James Akinjo yesterday, and a win for Georgetown on the road in Champaign.
Well, Ethan Happ having a full body of players on the court healthy, especially with Trice able to do it. 30 points, 13 rebounds. James Akinjo, I mean, outstanding freshman, made play after play. You know, last night, 19 points. Now, Charles Matthews, I always liken him to like a Trevor Ariza type of player that just does a little bit of everything, and he has experience.
About the road teams and their success thus far in the Gavitt tip-off games. Here's Langford. Can't get that one to go. And it's Joey Hauser with a rebound. Something about those early road matchups have gone in the favor in these Gavitt games thus far of the opponent. Sam Hauser on the miss. Anderson with the board. We get to the 2-minute mark here of this first half. Been a wild one. Indiana with a couple of big spurts. Had a 19-4 run to start the game. They were up 15 at one point. Marquette got it within 7. Then a 13-2 run by the Hoosiers, and now they turn another one over.
We're at that critical juncture that coaches talk about closing out the half the right way. Indiana, you want to allow yourself to take what you've done so far, that momentum in the halftime. If you're Marquette, okay, you haven't played well, but you have an opportunity right here within this last few minutes to cut into this league and go to the locker room feeling confident about the second half.
Keep an eye on Howard. He's running the floor now, even without the ball. Sets up Joey Hauser. Step back as Fitzner goes by, and Joey Hauser connects again. His third made basket in this window now. Couple of twos and now a 3, and that one's going the other way. Indiana with an offensive foul. Evan Fitzner picks up his third, and the depth for Archie Miller will be tested here tonight. He's got Smith with 2 fouls, Finney with a pair, and now Fitzner with 3.
Well, this time Fitzner trying to ward off Sam Hauser inside. That's an easy call for the official on the baseline. But how about the shot by Joey Hauser? The patience he showed, the pump fake, use that step back and knock in that crucial 3-point shot.
Durham chasing Marcus Howard, trying to get by him. Then step back jumper, long mid-range, not there. Smith with the rebound. Here's Durham now. He'll push it. Anderson with Bailey on him and runs out of room. Smith with 2 fouls, gets right by Joey Hauser. Got down in the dirt and gets by Hauser in the paint. 10-point game. The Hoosiers back in double digits with the lead. The Hauser brothers combining for 21 points for Marquette. Sam with 14, Joey with 7. Shot clock down to 7. Here's Howard. Air ball. Langford. With Sam Hauser on him, asking for help. Langford is touched, and a foul. Chance at 3 once again for Romeo Langford. You could see it in Sam Hauser's eyes. He knew he was in trouble.
Yeah, but you know what? The entire time down the court, Romeo Langford was just waiting for the opportunity to get to the basket. He knew he had the advantage that time on Hauser, but he chose the right time when the defense spread apart and the lane opened up. And once again, as a freshman, able to absorb the contact and finish through it.
And Romeo Langford with 15 points now. 3 made free throws. That's what's coming up at the half. Chief Grand Cherokee halftime report. Rob Stone, Steve Lavin. We're talking to Michigan head coach John Beilein, also known as John D-Line, because the D was on this point. Right? They're holding Villanova to 17 first-half points.
That's a tough task for any team, but if anybody can do it, we saw him do it against Syracuse, John Beilein.
Back defender in Pavilion as well. That's no easy task. Game clock, shot clock separated by just over 3 seconds. basketball chance coming down for Marcus Howard. He finds Hauser. Sam is up, and it comes up short. Clock ticks. Bailey gets it. Here's Sam Hauser. Cannot finish at the buzzer, and that'll take us to the end of the first half. 47-34. Very hallowed ground in college basketball, and one of the great venues in all of sports. It is 47-34. We're just about ready to start this second half. Indiana has the lead. The Hoosiers started out on a 19-4 run. Jumped on another run as well, 13-2, but Marquette goes on a 10-0 run near the end of that first half. And so a 13-point spread right now as we begin half number 2. Marquette with the ball, and that is Sam Hauser. Looked like had it partially blocked. Tennessee back on the floor running the point with 2 fouls. Remember, Fitzner has 3 fouls. You got a couple of Hoosiers on the floor right now with 2 fouls, and Smith and Finney. Here's Langford with 15, gives it up. Durham, the lefty, fires off the back iron, and it's Howard who flies high for the rebound.
And you figure, Brian, if you're Coach Wojciechowski, and there's another turnover, that you shoot 26% from the three-point line, only 28 from the free throw line. You can correct that. Where he's really upset is the 14 first half turnover. That coming off 22 against Bethune-Cookman is unacceptable, especially when you're on the road. That's something that needs correcting right away.
9 turnovers now for Marquette, their first of the second half.
I mean, seven first half turnovers.
Here's Durham now with Hauser on him. Al Durham gets the start here tonight. Minus Zach McRoberts. Oh, a throwdown by Justin Smith. Boy, explosive leaper that he is. The quick bounce. And Indiana back up 15. 48-inch vertical jump for Justin Smith. And he's 6'7", one of the high flyers in the game.
And he used all of it on that last play.
Here's Brendan Bailey. He's been quiet here. He's a freshman. He's 21 years of age, the son of Thurl Bailey. He has not yet found his footing in this hostile environment at Assembly Hall. Morgan now with the double team comes. Finney for 3, wide open. What a find by Morgan. And the 3-ball is good for the freshman point guard.
Again, you get beat on the double team or collapsing defense when you allow the pass to go across court. The defense can't recover. Finney made him pay.
Timeout Marquette. Justin Smith gets them on their feet at Assembly Hall. That's an easy leap right there. Can fly. Big East basketball sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee in Big Ten Country at Assembly Hall, Bloomington, Indiana. 52-34. It's back to an 18-point lead, and the big man can dish it.
Well, it's all about maturity and experience. I can impact the game with Juwan Morgan, not just scoring the ball, but drawing in the defense and making the correct play, knowing that my teammates, if they knock down shots, Brian, my turn will open up inside if I'm just a little patient. And right now, he's doing a little bit of everything from the post position for the Hoosier team.
Center of the wagon wheel. He has 2 assists, but the hockey assist as well on a couple of occasions, finding the right man. And Indiana has 12 assists on 19 made field goals. That's a one and done for Marquette. That's Langford flying high for the rebound. Chance to go to 20 or 21 ahead here. Indiana already has their biggest lead, matching it at 18. And now Morgan. Checked by the sophomore Theo John. Bullet pass, good catch by Smith. Now Langford, shifty. Langford all the way in, scores for the left. Just when you think you've got it boxed into the baseline.
Well, it was all about that hesitation. At that time, Sam Hauser just gave a little bit of room on the baseline, and Romeo Langford was able to exploit it.
Langford leads all scorers with 17, 7 of 10 from the field. Here's Howard. Little floater is good. It's a big part of his game. He hasn't really been able to get loose with that yet.
But Indiana has done an excellent job of taking away a lot of dribble penetration, forcing Howard to be a little bit uncomfortable. But if you're Howard, you want to continue to press the issue, knowing that you can get to the basket and finish when you get a chance.
Chartouni on the floor, has great hands, steals man, knocks that away.
Oh, watch the hesitation right here. The baseline seems to be, nope, I'm going baseline, and that time Hauser kind of got stuck in cement and couldn't react once Langford got by.
Well, there is a sweet glide to his game. There's just something about the way he moves, the way he can find the open spaces. Doesn't look like he's churning much energy, but he's moving fast. Here's Langford for three. Romeo is having a night in a big-time matchup in the first real test for the Hoosiers, stepping up as the headliner. Kane with an answer. Yes, sir. Jamal Kane from the corner for Marquette.
And those are the kind of plays Chartuni has to make.
Couple of rebounds from Morgan and a foul and one. Juwan Morgan. A couple of misses, add to the stat sheet, gets the finish in the heart.
Well, how about Indiana taking a page out of Michigan State's book? The basket goes in, but the advance pass up the court quickly enough to get Morgan isolated inside. Defense can't recover, hence you get 2 shots at the rim.
7 and 6 here for Morgan with the 2 assists. He's been at the center of the offense, and the slashers like Langford and Durham. That's a rip down by Smith, and a foul on the floor on Marquette. On the missed free throw, it stays on this side of the floor, and Steve Wojciechowski is furious on that Marquette bench.
Well, turnovers and not blocking out at the free throw line will catch the ear of a coach, and right here, Smith able just to get inside of Ed Morrow and just take the ball. But again, it seems like Indiana is a little quicker to the ball, the 50-50 balls, a little bit more aggressive on defense, hence they have all the momentum going their way.
Morgan on the attack, working on Morrow, score another one and a foul. Juwan Morgan, strong to the basket, a chance at a three-point trip.
And Brian, this is the same play we saw in the first half, underneath out of bounds with Evan Fitchner, able to catch the ball at the free throw line. You clear out the weak side a little bit, put a shooter in the corner, and then you're able to go one-on-one, and that time Morgan able to take advantage of the quickness inside.
And Morgan comes up short on the free throw. Juwan averaging 11 and a half in the first 2 games, coming off a 14-point game against Montana State. Morrow had a block from behind, no foul on Morgan. Well, we'll have free throws from Marquette when we come back. Romeo Langford, 20 points. Every point from now on add to a season high. He's going to have a lot of these nights, folks.
Welcome back to the second half, and Indiana Hoosiers are on a 14-4 run. And it's a lot of it has been ball movement, body movement, freshman to freshman, as you see Rob Finney to Justin Smith here. But yesterday in practice, a lot of the work was dedicated toward dribble drive penetration and make the right plays. You see 13 assists on 23 field goals. That means 1, you're sharing the basketball, but 2, you're placing your teammates in position where now they can score.
Ed Morrow was fouled prior to that timeout. He's at the line. Transfer from Nebraska, and this is a guy that has some pretty good memories of his last trip here for Steve Wojciechowski. He's hoping for more out of Ed Morrow, but he sat all last year in the transfer rule. Ed Morrow, the last time he was on this floor was December of 2016, playing for the Huskers, had a double-double in that game. Ed Morrow on his way out after 1 out of 2. Joey Hauser on the floor, big rebounder, but still a guy who hasn't swapped the paint, let's say, in the game action in a full season. And they're trying to get him back up to speed as well.
And you got to keep in mind, this is a different system than what he was accustomed to in Nebraska. Much more free-flowing, three-point shooting team, so that's an adjustment that he has to make as well.
Indiana with 2 significant runs to start the game and to start the second half as Langford comes up short on the finger roll. Kane gives it back to Chartuni. Key window here. Chartuni at the point, puts Howard at the 2, and Howard misses the 3, and that's Finney flying high for the rebound. Hit this second half in some foul trouble for Indiana, but it hasn't been a factor. They've stretched it out, played without fouling. Langford gives it up. Finney for 3. And that's Kane with a board. 21-point Indiana lead. Marquette needs a run if they're going to get back in. Plenty of time in this game, and they've had a couple of runs to get into single digits. Joey Hauser, check by Smith. Double team comes. That's Durham, and that's going to be off of Hauser. A Marquette turnover, and Durham once again on the defensive end.
Well, the difference is Chartouni was on that side of the court. Last year, if you went down the double team like that, that might have been rousing. You couldn't do it. But that time, Durham smartly knew that Hauser couldn't see him, ducked right inside and forced a turnover.
Turnover number 9 for Marquette. Durham's had a nice game. He's done a lot for him. He's handled the point guard as well late in that first half with Finney on the bench. Here's Langford now, pulls the 3, and now foul. I believe that's going to be on Marquette. Kane will be called for the foul as he was boxing out. Check it, Joey Hauser called for the foul. My mistake. And his first foul. So a new 30 for the Hoosiers. Fitzner wants it on the post. Hit 3 threes in the first half. Little spin, little lefty hook. No. And Kane is fouled this time. That's on the Hoosiers. Will give the ball back to Marquette.
Well, Marquette,
and Fitzner with his 4th foul.
Yeah, and Marquette has been able to get some consecutive stops, but not able to convert that into points on the other end. So you talked about making a run and getting back in. Well, they're kind of doing it on the defensive end, but their offense right now, which hasn't been clicking, is kind of failing them in regards to putting points and putting the ball in the basket.
Fitzner will sit with 4 fouls. He has been extremely efficient tonight. Fitzner, his first miss of the game just a moment ago. He's 5 out of 6, and that's Morgan with the rebound on the Hauser miss. Pushing it, throws it onto the Indiana bench. Was that Bruiser Flint making a catch?
He got up too. He got up quick, but I think
did.
Justin Smith thought the ball was going somewhere else because he saw the pass coming and kind of pulled his hands back, kind of like you do with the bill. You know what I mean?
That's right. Alligator arms. Bruiser's going to need some ice after this game. That was a pretty quick stand up there by the assistant coach. Joey Hauser trying to turn the corner and keeps it alive and is fouled. Justin Smith picks up his 3rd. So a 21-point game. Wojciechowski, not his normal animated self. He has certainly seen some things here in what he described as a find-out game. We're going to find out about our team. But been a frustrating evening here in Bloomington for Marquette. Coming in here 2-0 with sizable wins against UMBC, the team that knocked off Virginia in the NCAA tournament last year, the 16 seed, and then a 33-point win against Bethune-Cookman.
Well, the thing is, you never want to lose a game. But the beauty about college basketball is you can play an early game against a strong opponent, take the L, but learn from it and build upon that. And now this game is far from over. You know, they can make a run, but they're all building blocks to who you want to ultimately be once you get into conference play.
Marquette throws a little zone at Indiana here. Indiana saw a lot of zone in their first 2 games against Chicago State and Montana State. Now Marquette, like Indiana, they've got some very difficult opponents. How about number 2 Kansas coming up next as a headliner on their schedule? Then that's in a tournament. They'll either face Louisville or Tennessee. They've got K-State, team that went to the Elite 8 last year. They've got a very difficult non-conference schedule.
Yeah, Wisconsin, which is always a tough game. But then how about Buffalo? That's playing some outstanding basketball as well. It doesn't get easier, but, you know, you take each game, you learn from it, you prepare and practice, and you get out there and play.
They're floated by Howard. No, Held can't put it back. And now Finney comes away from the pack. Bullet pass over to Durham. Indiana will use some clock here. Second of our doubleheader tonight, the Gavin tip-off games. Michigan on the road taking down Villanova in impressive fashion. And Indiana has done the same here to Marquette on their home floor. Durham hits it. Looking for a foul. Durham with a little mid-range game. 7 points for Durham. Has 5 assists, make it 9 for Durham. 5 assists in the game. And a foul on Hauser underneath. Offensive foul on Sam Hauser, getting tangled up with Langford.
You take a look inside, right on the backside. He did. See, once you extend that elbow, the official is going to call that. I mean, I know Romeo Langford was kind of draped on him a little bit. Once you extend that, it's an easy call. And how about the kind of young Hoosiers maintaining their poise, where kind of Marquette has let a lot of that slip away, reduced probably the frustration of not seeing the ball go through the basket.
Langford will sit with 20 points. Demezy Anderson back on the floor. Deron Davis here. Gives it up, Durham. Shot clock down to 9. What a pass. Smith. Oh, what a finish. Well, you can see the sea part. And a great find inside to Justin Smith. You let Justin Smith get his feet set. There is no chance around the rim.
Get out the way.
Hauser finishes. Joey goes under the rim. Reverse layup is good. 65-44. Now two programs that go back to 1932 for their first meeting, but it is the first meeting since 2001. Indiana leads this program series 7-2. Last time they played was in Alaska. That's going to be a turnover. And these two coaches trying to find out about their teams. And Indiana and Archie Miller has to be pleased what he has seen on his home floor. Steve Wojciechowski, year number 5. Still some work to do. The Hoosiers of Indiana out of the Big Ten. An impressive run here against Marquette. 21-point lead. Great history with these programs. Of course, Al McGuire leading the Marquette Golden Eagles, back then the Marquette Warriors, to the national championship. These two teams met in the tournament twice in the 70s, 73 and 76. Indiana winning both games, including that win in 76 that would lead them to their perfect season in a national championship. How about the get up here, Jimmy? That's right out of your closet.
Hey, listen, I can see you in that leisure suit that Al McGuire had. But how about this? His creativity. Bo Ellis was on that 70-17, an art major. Allowed Bo Ellis to design probably one of the most iconic college uniforms. You know, so it fits right into the mode of Al McGuire.
Al McGuire let him run. Bobby Knight, of course, with the plaid jacket. We saw Jim Cruz here before the game, part of that 1976 team and national championship team.
Quinn Buckner.
Coach at St. Louis, Quinn Buckner.
My former coach with the Mavericks.
Kent Benson, Bobby Wilkerson, great names. 5 national championships hang in the rafters here at Assembly Hall. And they've done a great job of this venue as well. It's been a couple of years since some of the renovations that you can see. The giant video wall here that hangs above the floor. But we had a chance to tour their locker room here at Assembly Hall. It is spectacular.
I'm so jealous. I mean, I remember we had like a closet space. So you see another turnover right here by Marquette, but now the technology in which these locker rooms are made of, and also the interaction out here, interactive video, and the concourse for the fans is just fantastic.
Here's Langford sitting on 20 points. Joey Hauser pulls down the board. Every time, I'm always hesitant to take you guys through new facilities, you and Bardo.
Why?
I mean, you guys get upset when you see
No. I'm extremely happy for these young men who get any and everything.
You sat on the metal stool with the drip coming down. Now this is a locker room right here.
Yeah.
What a space they've
created. It's like a spaceship compared to what a pool table. Are you kidding me?
It features the Oladipo Zeller Legacy Lounge, named for the former All-Americans, Victor Oladipo and Cody Zeller. So that locker room, more than 4,000 square feet, right off the floor here. That's not what they use every day. The practice facility over at Cook Hall next door is their everyday facility, and that's as spectacular as anything.
I would love to take the camera crew through the old St. John's locker room underneath the stands.
You know what that makes you? That makes you a back in my day guy.
Man,
back in my day.
Way back in the day. My goodness.
21-point lead for the Hoosiers. Give them a lot of credit here, though, in Bloomington. They've done a great job. Always a high-energy fan base. Even in some of their years of struggle, they still poured them in here, 17,000 strong. And that has never wavered. Now Archie Miller in his second season. Shot clock down to 1, and that's going to be a violation. And Marquette will take over.
Yeah, and one of the few mistakes, you got to give this Indiana team a lot of credit from this perspective. First big game, crowd is into it. Marquette, a top 25 team. They had a big lead, and they've been able to sustain it. Yes, they had some lapses, which you're going to expect, but for the most part, they've continued to execute both offensively and defensively to keep this lead well maintained.
And for Steve Wojciechowski and Marquette, they have been emphasizing defense. Most of their practices have been defense-oriented. They are trusting their offense to be there, but if Marquette is going to make a run to the Big East, as Sam Hauser misses a 3, they're going to have to improve defensively, and just a little bit of a margin improvement defensively with their firepower on the offensive end. They could be serious contenders in the Big East this season.
Well, they could. One more playmaker on the perimeter, and that could be Chartouni once he gets his feet wet, because Howard can't do it by himself, and that was the beauty, again, of having Rausser last year. Andre was another guy not only can shoot, but he set up his teammates and put them in positions where they could be very efficient and effective.
Losing a lot of offense and scoring and three-point shooting from Andrew Rousey. And Mojo's been pleased so far, but you know, the first two opponents, same for Indiana. Those are good wins. You respect those opponents that you start the season, but this was the game that these two coaches had their eyes on to start the season to find out where they are moving forward. And both programs have tremendous schedules moving forward. Indiana's heading to Arkansas next. A matchup in SEC territory. Joey Hauser on the take and is greeted by 3 Hoosiers. Let's see who gets the foul here. Going to be Justin Smith.
A great drive right here, continuing to Joey Hauser attack your basketball. One thing going back to Coach Wojciechowski, he said, again, our team is going to be markedly better later on. Yeah. Okay, he understands the challenges of that face that are ahead of this team to make up some ground, but yet and still he knows the quality of players that he has. And again, tonight, didn't shoot the ball well from the free-throw line or from behind the three-point line, but he turned the basketball early, and that allowed Indiana to get out and get some easy layups.
Some headliners on this schedule, too, going in to Fayetteville to play Arkansas. Mike Anderson, a terrific program there. And then you have this matchup with Duke coming up right after Thanksgiving. They'll have a road game back to start their Big Ten play. Remember, Big Ten play, there's 20 games on that schedule. That starts early December. So Penn State and Northwestern will be the first 2 Big Ten games. December 4th and December 1st starts their schedule against Northwestern. I know it's uncomfortable for coaches to have these kind of matchups early, but it is great that the game is going this way now. We need more high-level matchups early in the season, and the Gabba tip-off games have brought us that. There's Durham. Little floater with the right hand, by the way. A left-handed player finishes with the right. He's had a terrific night. Al Durham got the start for Zach McRoberts. There's a little turnaround by Theo John.
And this is the part of the game, too, from a coaching perspective. If you're Coach Wojciechowski, you want to see your guys continue to compete because you're playing for something much bigger than just this game.
Quick release by Anderson. Davizzi Anderson hits his first 3. He is a three-point weapon. And of all the Hoosiers, probably has the quickest release. Nice answer by Sam Hauser. 20-point Indiana lead. This is something for the Hoosiers. You feel comfortable on your home floor, but Marquette is a very good basketball team, and the Hoosiers dismantling them right now. Fitzner hits another 3. Fitzner is 4 for 4 from behind the arc. 16 points in 14 minutes. And a foul as Durham fouls Howard. Evan Fitzner. Talking about all these young guys. How about the old head, at least in the college game? Fitzner hitting his fourth three at 6'10". The stretch five. 75-52, the Hoosiers of Indiana up big on Marquette. Game number 3 of the college basketball season. Don't forget, Saturday, the race for college football's playoffs continue. Shea Patterson, number 4 Michigan, trying to keep things rolling against Indiana right here on FS1. And then in prime time, Kyler Murray and the 6th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners looking to keep it going against Kansas on Fox. Dave Gavitt, tip-off games, the first commissioner of the Big East. Formed in 1979, Jimmy. He was a visionary. He created that Big East, the television package. He had the forward thinking to take this game to another level. This is the 4th year of the Gavitt tip-off games matching up the Big Ten and the Big East.
Well, I grew up in love with the Big East. That time in St. John's with Mark Jackson and Willie Glass and, of course, Chris Mullen. Georgetown, their teams with John Thompson, of course, Patrick Ewing and the crew, and Syracuse was a team out of high school. Actually was my number 1 option where I wanted to go. So I was very fond of that time because they, along with ESPN, kind of started together and gave us a glimpse of what a basketball conference, was really about. And he was at the forefront of putting all that together.
His son Dan is still involved with the NCAA. It is a great family legacy. These coaches, while there is a lot of early work to prepare for these games, it has been a roaring success, the Gavitt tip-off games. In its 4th year now, and it's looking like a night for the Big Ten as Michigan went on the road and beat Villanova. Indiana has a comfortable lead here with 7:09 remaining. Deron Davis hits the first free throw.
Brian, how can this not be a benefit, win or lose? Because either you have a team that kind of maybe thinks they're better than what they are, and it kind of emphasizes the voice of the coach a little bit more, as you see Stu Jackson, but also a team that now is trying to question where are we at in our development as a team. You go out and win a big game, that can give them confidence as they continue to move forward. So it's all kind of benefits from playing in this type of event at the beginning of the year.
Good to see Stu Jackson here, the associate commissioner. We saw Val Ackerman, who was in Philly tonight, the Villanova-Michigan game. And they've got a good thing going in the Big East, as they do in the Big Ten. The Big East has been a conference that is producing, of the 10 teams, 6 or 7 teams in the NCAA tournament each year, 6 teams last season, and they've produced 2 of the last 3 national champions.
Well, you think about 60% of your teams going to the tournament. Now, again, it's a 10-team league. Some have expanded like the Big Ten to 14, but consistently, you see consistency from Robert Denise right there getting to the basket, but I think that speaks volumes to the depth of the conference to be able to do that year in and year out.
6.5 to go. Here's Howard. Just really hasn't been able to get loose as he cans a 3 here. To second made 3. And Davis running the floor. Nice catch and finish. Davis coming up hobbling a little bit. An Achilles injury a year ago. Every time he lands, I think you take a deep breath.
Well, I talked about earlier, trusting your body and the mental part. That time he went up and got it and sprung right up. Yeah. Trusted that it would be there, the explosion, and was able to finish.
It's a scary injury, and you can understand the trauma that goes with it coming back. Not just the leaping, the running, but also the landing. He's been falling to the floor on the landing, trying to cushion that blow, but he stayed on his feet that time. That's a good sign. Langford trying to find Fitzner, and Langford is fouled. You like to see Deron Davis running the floor, though. This is a good sign for the Hoosiers.
Well, I can empathize with Deron Davis in regards to coming back from a severe injury. I totally tore up my ankle, 3rd-degree sprain, my 3rd year in the NBA, and it took time for me to trust that I could explode off the ankle. No matter how much rehab I did and what the doctor said, how I felt, until I was able to get out on the court and actually do it consistently. Then it got to a point where I wasn't thinking anymore. I was back to playing the kind of ball I wanted to play. So it takes time.
It does change your game, though, doesn't it? When you come back, I mean, your muscle memory.
Well, I wasn't as explosive because it was my left leg. So I totally had to change aspects of how I play.
What a finish that was by Marcus Howard. Little English giving you a glimpse of what he can be. Was not this in the first half, but he's got some craftiness in his game. He's a good finisher.
Well, I think Marcus Howard is going to have to do a lot more of this until, again, you find that other playmaker. He's going to have to force the issue a little bit more, collapse the defense, and then make plays from that for this Marquette team to kind of get those open looks they're accustomed to getting.
81 points on the board for the Hoosiers. Howard is going to draw the foul here, or he's going to commit the foul, I should say, on Finney. Both teams in the bonus. 10th team foul for Marquette. So 2 shots for Rob Finney. Archie Miller still at it on the sideline. This is rare to see Steve Wojciechowski sitting at this point of the game. Archie Miller has got a full lather going. I think Wojo certainly has a list of projects to work on as they go back to Milwaukee after this one tonight.
Well, break down tape, especially early on, about what went wrong and what his team didn't do and focus on that allowed the lead to get expanded in the first half.
The 5th year for Steve Wojciechowski. Took Marquette to the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. That was Howard's freshman year. And lost in the first round that season. Missed out last year on the NCAA tournament. Went to the NIT. We got more coming up here on the Gavitt Games schedule. So tomorrow here on FS1, Ohio State and Creighton. And then Penn State and DePaul as part of the doubleheader tomorrow. And you know they'll have a big crowd in Omaha as well. Packed house as always, one of the great venues in college basketball.
2 teams in Creighton and also Ohio State that kind of lost a lot in regards to players that have been staple points of their program. It's going to be interesting to see within that game how both teams adjust to kind of the newness of bodies and people.
Tennessee, what a finish with the left hand. Able to avoid the outreached arms, and it was a shot clock malfunction there. Never reset, so they will reset that. Oh, what a beautiful finish.
Well, the explosion right here to get by Howard, to then be able to scoop and finish inside off 2 feet right here. Avoid the block underneath for Matt Hill, and then able to finish. But I'm impressed about this, that he didn't allow Marquette to speed him up and force him to get out of control. He controlled his body, the tempo of the game, allowed Indiana to continue to operate at a high level. That speaks volume for this young freshman.
Floater by Hauser, too strong on the rim. Here comes Langford. Well, you know Archie Miller, who was a point guard at NC State, as long as I've known him, it is about the point guard play. And yes, Romeo Langford is a huge piece to add to this program. But a guy like Rob Finney, who figures to be a 4-year player, I mean, he's going to be here for a while in a community that embraces their players. And look, you're on the recruiting trail, and you can point to a dynamic point guard who's pass first. Can also give you some points. There are a lot of players that are going to be signing up to play with a Rob Finney these next few years.
When you think about it, back in the day, we talked about us being a little bit more mature in our age. That you anchored your team by a post player. If you had a great post player, that was your building block. In today's game, you better have a dynamic backcourt, especially from the point guard position, because not only are they your coach on the floor, they control tempo, they're the head of your defense. So they do a lot more. So right now we're seeing the makings of what could be. You talked about a 3-4-year starter here, a young man that's going to provide a lot of, I think, W's for this Hoosier program.
Approaching the 4-minute mark. It's been all Indiana here in the second half. They jumped out to a quick start as Hauser is fouled. Joey with the hoop and one. And Fitzner, actually Davis with the foul on the wrist. Fitzner playing with 4 fouls. Justin Smith will come in for Fitzner here. What a night he had tonight. Evan Fitzner with 16 points in 18 minutes, made 4 threes. He missed just 1 basket. That was a little turnaround jump hook with the left hand. He's going to give them a lot.
Well, you know what he also gives you more than the points or rebounds? He gives you a level of trust because he's an older player that's kind of been through the battle, so you know when you put him in the game, you can trust him on the offense and defensive end to kind of do the right thing and have a voice of reason for when he's on the court with a lot of young players.
Here's Fennessy, another finish at the rim. Well, there is a mountain of instructional tape piling up for Marquette. That will not be a fun practice.
Another turnover here.
And that's going to be a foul by Chartouni. The Marquette Golden Eagles, high expectations. First time they've been ranked in 5 years. 24 team ranked in the country. It has been a frustrating night. The Fab freshman here with Fennessy, Langford, and of course Morgan doing his thing at all Hoosiers. Lot to recommend with the 2 freshmen here getting most of the headlines for the Hoosiers. Romeo Langford and Rob Fennessy.
Well, listen, great coaches usually have outstanding players, and there's no difference here between the 2. 34.7 rebounds and assists and only 3 turnovers. Archie Miller's putting himself in a position in his team that now with these 2 at your center point, from a recruiting perspective, it gives the program legitimacy right away. That these 2 young men chose to come here in his 2nd year, okay? And they've proven that they belong on this level at this big stage at this time. And they're only going to continue to get better because you know why? Both love the game and both love to be coached. And that's important.
What a great get for Archie Miller to go to Lafayette and get Rob Fennessy. That's the first time that a player from Lafayette, Indiana, Purdue country, has come to Indiana since 1948. Rob Fennessy with 8 assists at 12 points in 26 minutes against Montana State. He just is going to get better and better. And with a point guard as dynamic as Fennessy and with a scorer as dynamic as Langford, they are going to be a force in the Big Ten. Well, back to the drawing board for Wojo, though.
But that's okay because the makings with this Marquette team, long athletic, they just got to tweak some things, especially on the defensive end. But again, offensively, figuring out the continuity. Last year, this was a machine offensively. You make some changes, you know, now you have 14 turnovers. You had 22 in the last game. That's something that's going to take opportunities away, but also slow your momentum on the offensive end.
Inside, nice catch and finish by Jawan Morgan. And remember, Indiana playing this game very short-handed. They really haven't had their core together. They've been battling injuries to 4 of their players. 3 of those players not available here tonight. Sakar Annam scores a 2. Devontae Green out with a thigh injury. McRoberts, normally a starter, terrific defender, does all those little things well. The redshirt senior. McRoberts out with a low back strain, and then Race Thompson, who's starting to work his way into the mix, out with a concussion. I think all 3 of those players are expected to be back soon. Could be as early as this weekend against Arkansas. There's McRoberts and Green there. That only adds to their depth.
Well, and also think about the experience that the players like the Fennessy is able to get, Smith is able to get by playing in these type of environments in this type of game. So then you add those 3 players back into the mix, you know what you got on the court. And that's the beauty of maybe sometimes playing shorthanded. You get a chance to put guys into the fire right away.
More minutes to be spread around, not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
And now some players off the bench coming in as Romeo Langford. His night is done. 22 points on 8 of 15 shooting. Made 1 3. Made 5 free throws tonight. Was 5 of 7 from the line. 22 points, 5 rebounds for Romeo Langford. Leads all scores here tonight. Johnny Jager in the game from right here in Bloomington. A fan favorite. He'll run the point. And a turnover. Minute and a half to go. Kane is fouled. So you got Jager in the game, B.J. Blackman getting a few minutes here, and Clifton Moore some time on the floor as well for the Hoosiers. There's Johnny Jager. What a thrill for him to continue on this legacy here in Bloomington. Hometown kid. There's Jamal Cain with a free throw.
Always good to be able to get your feet wet. All the hard work you put in to get on the court. I don't care if it's a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. To be able to touch the dance floor a little bit, and your teammates love it as well.
Get into the box score, right?
Yeah, get that shot up, man. You can be a little selfish right here. You can come down, run a quick pick and roll, pull up for a nice little jump shot. I don't think anybody will be mad at you.
I know one thing. You're a great analyst, Jim Jackson, but I know one thing you are not an expert at. That is garbage minutes.
You know what, though? Unfortunately, later in my NBA career, I got some garbage minutes. And trust me,
you were trying.
I went from the top to the bottom, and not the bottom in a bad way, but trust me, I know exactly what it feels like.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Quentin Taylor will be the last piece for Archie Miller. He'll pick up Demezy Anderson. Lot to build on with a game like this. And, you know, each coach will take an approach. You're never as bad as you think you are. You're never as good as you think you are.
And for both teams in both conferences, I think it's just one of those years where you have a muddle of teams that are right there that can compete for a title. Maybe in each league you may have the championship team in the regular season have 4, maybe 5 losses because one doesn't stand out more evenly matched. So I'm very eager to see how things unfold once we start to get in with both conferences, how competitive I think it really is going to be this year.
Well, you know Michigan State's real. Looks like Wisconsin's real. Ethan Happ, I mean, what a force. Talk about post players to build a program. In his final year in Madison, coming off a 30-point game yesterday on the road at Xavier.
Yeah, but getting his backcourt healthy was the key for him.
Oh, wow. Sakar and him flying high. A highlight at the end of this one. Been a pleasure to be with you, my friend. My old BTN partner,
That's
Jim
right.
Jackson.
You know, for our fans out there, I text Brian Anderson during the playoffs and during the pennant races. I'm not a big baseball fan, but when my man is on, I like to text him during the game and show some love. So it's an honor always to share the mic with you, carry your luggage, so to speak. I'm just here, bro. You the point guard, I'm the shooter.
Jake Forrester with a bucket for Indiana. Yeah, always great to be with you, Jim, and terrific work by our truck tonight.
Yep.
Max Lywand, our producer, Scott Katz directing our excellent crew as we come to the finish line, and Archie Miller and Steve Wojciechowski. They used to match